Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Hey friends, welcome back to the show. In Hebrew, there's a word called bashert, which means meant to be or spirit karma. And I've known Dr. Allyson Ocean for over 20 years, but we have never spent time together. We've always been ships in the night or on panels together or just floating about. And finally, after 20 years, she came here to the studio and we got to know each other like human beings and not just like run-around advocates. But she is one of the most influential medical professionals in oncology. She is a professor of clinical medicine at Weill Cornell, and she's on the board of directors of like every nonprofit that matters. Not that they all don't matter, but she picks her poison and has been a fierce, staunch influencer, advocate, researcher, and powerhouse, like a no bullshit human being that has been at the center of nearly every major influential aspect of cancer care for 20 years or more. She is hard to explain. She's a lot, but she's incredibly insightful. She's grateful. And we're OG. We go back to advocacy before the internet. What was that like? So again, it's hard for me to just put that all into an intro, but you are going to love this authentic, incredible human conversation with my dear friend, Dr. Allyson Ocean. Let's get started. Allyson, this is like we've been ships in the night for like 15 years. We bump into each other here and there, and finally, the white whale, my Ahabian quest is over. You're here in the studio. I love that you're here.
I love that I'm here.
This is so cool.
So cool.
Like you exist in 3 dimensions outside of the lore, luminary, legendary Allyson Ocean in the ether.
It's such an honor to be here.
I wanted to first talk about why you got into medicine. Because often it's born of condition, but sometimes people are like, I'm up for a challenge.
I got into medicine kind of circuitously. I was my father's a retired general surgeon, so I knew about medicine most of my life.
It's kind of in your DNA, literally.
Well, speaking of DNA, I am an identical twin. So yes, there's a lot. I have double DNA. So we can talk about...
Were you ever recruited to the Doublemint gum commercials in the 80s?
I am proud to say that my mother did try to take us for a rehearsal for that.
No, really?
I swear.
I swear. Totally
I know. And we have the whole like Doublemint like green thing and everything.
Double your pleasure, double your fun. That's the statement of the great.
Yes, we were very adorable, identical sisters that were... And my mom was like, why not? They're so cute. Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We never did it, but
okay.
she actually like wanted to do it.
I tried it for Campbell's Soup ad once when I was like 9. Didn't get it. End of my career.
Okay. So I knew medicine. I knew growing up, I knew what my dad would come home late operating and but I love science and I love math, and I thought maybe I would be a doctor one day. But then I went to school and to college, and I fell in love with travel and international relations. And that was my major, international relations, Spanish, and economics.
Wow.
And
how's that working out for you?
really, exactly. Well, it is working.
Yes.
So in some ways. So I went to study abroad in Madrid and my junior year, and I came home because I initially thought I would maybe work for the World Health Organization. And I don't know what I would do, but that was like on my mind. And then I came home and I said, what am I going to do with my life? I like science. All right, I'm going to go to medical school. So my senior year, when everyone else was out partying, I was taking chemistry, biology, organic chemistry, physics, all the pre-med courses. I took a year off and did some at a college near my home in Alexandria, Virginia. And then I applied to medical school, and that's when I became a doctor.
There you go. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Why are you in the GI world? Like I'm always fascinated by when people do subspecialties and how you choose what organ matters and where
Right.
that stacks in the Mount Rushmore of organs you care about.
Right.
How did you make the decision to get into your specialty?
Well, I think you have to take a little step back, because why oncology before?
But that's the first subspecialty.
Right. Why oncology before why GI oncology? So why oncology is, throughout medical school, I liked everything. I liked cardiology, pulmonary, kidneys, brain, skin. I loved learning about everything. But I also loved genetics. And I wanted to do something that was related to genetics and that affected all organ systems, because I couldn't decide which one I wanted to study at that point. And oncology affects every organ system. Cancer spares no organ, and genetics is heavily related to cancer. And I didn't even know how much it was at that time, but I knew that I loved genetics. I loved taking I took a genetics course before a bio course. That's how much I loved it. And that's how it led to oncology. And then once I got my oncology fellowship at Cornell, I worked in a lab of a mentor of mine, and he was a GI oncologist. And that's how I kind of fell into GI. I didn't really choose it. It just kind of happened.
It's so easy to say that there's no empathy in medicine and doctors are stoic and robots. You're not. You have a personality. You understand the human condition. You come from and this is not me kissing your ass. You are. It's rare. I mean, my personal experience and doctors I work with, it's rare. It shouldn't be as rare.
You're right.
To
Absolutely.
find a doctor, let alone an oncologist, let alone a GI oncologist that has that level of just appreciation for the human condition out of the gate. Well, I'm sorry you're here. Let's talk about this. Versus, oh, you have this and this and this and this. The Charlie Brown teacher, an elegant tumor, which is what they told me.
Wow. I always think about when I go to the doctor myself and what the doctor is saying to me about whatever I'm dealing with at the time. And sometimes it's wonderful, but most times it's horrible. And not horrible what they're telling me medically, but the way they're telling it.
The delivery.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And I said, I don't want to be like that. I mean, you have to, I feel like nowadays, actually then, more so than now, medicine is definitely a calling. You have to understand that you're a healer. And you want to be a healer. And how could you be a healer without having compassion?
So as I was stalking your LinkedIn, I noticed that there's a gap between when you graduated from Tufts and when you started at Weill Cornell. From 1998 to 2004. Where exactly were you?
Oh, no. I was in 1998, I graduated Tufts Med, right? And then I started my internship at Cornell in 1998.
Someone's got to update their LinkedIn
Oh, really?
profile.
Oh, I'm not good like that.
Yeah.
I got to do it. You're right.
You answer the Scooby-Doo mystery question correctly.
So I was at Cornell doing my internship, residency, and then in 2004 2001 to 2004, I did my oncology fellowship.
So something a little more serious is I did notice this on your LinkedIn that there is something called, and I wish I had known this, called the American Jewish Medical Association.
Ah.
Tell me about that.
That's a new endeavor.
That's why I didn't know about it.
Yes, exactly. So, as you know, I like to start nonprofits in the advocacy space.
An addiction problem.
Yeah, in the cancer space. The first one was Michael's Mission. The second one was Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer. The third one, which I would love to highlight because it has recent news, is the Pol G Foundation, which is a foundation for mitochondrial disease. And the fourth one is one I did with my twin sister, Oceans of Blessings.
Are you done yet?
No. And then Oceans of Blessings is really cool. We gift safe beauty and skincare products to people undergoing treatment for cancer. And so that's that. I do that with my sister. And then most recently,
I'm sorry, I'm snorting.
What?
I'm snorting.
Why?
This is too good.
Okay. And then the most recent one, I didn't really form it, but I helped guide them with it, and I'm on the board now, is the American Jewish Medical Association.
Oh.
Yes.
It's your fault.
Yes. Okay.
By the way, we will put links to all of these organizations in the show notes, so
awesome.
listeners can check them out.
Okay.
But was this something overdue that should have been around for a while?
Oh, 100%. So this is what happened. Right after October 7th, there was a wonderful physician named Dr. Yael Halas started a WhatsApp group of all of us devastated by the events of October 7th and a place for us to congregate. And it soon grew and grew and grew to about 1,000, and they were all physicians, about 1,000 physicians on this WhatsApp group. So I loved it, but I hated it because every millisecond there was a ping, 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 like people putting their 2 cents in about the climate of anti-Semitism, of it, how much anti-Semitism exists in medicine, which a lot of people don't realize that it does because they haven't experienced it themselves. And that led to the formation of the nonprofit, the 501c3, AJMA, which is now led by our CEO, Michelle Stravitz, who's wonderful. And our goal is to end hate and anti-Semitism in medicine. There's no place for it. And, you know, it's really grown over the last year. It's only a year old as a baby organization. But there was no previous Jewish physicians organization.
That's astonishing.
It blew my mind that there was never a Jewish medical association for physicians or healthcare workers.
Have there been others similar, though?
Oh, yeah. There's a Catholic one. There's a Palestinian one. There's an Indian one. But there was never a Jewish one. And so Yael and a bunch of dermatologists and oncologists, me, and we got together and we formed this. And now I'm on the board of it. And what they're doing is pretty incredible. They're educating. They're making a curriculum eventually that will hopefully get into medical schools, about teaching people, because there's discrimination training for other ethnic groups, but there isn't for Judaism and Jews.
My goodness.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. We help people who have been victims of acts of anti-Semitism by helping them find legal representation. It's a safe community for us to congregate, educate, and rid the world of anti-Semitism in medicine.
Have you made the ACLU and the JNF aware that you exist?
Yes, we are partnering with many, many organizations. Good. And actually there is a whole, I don't know if it's called a lobbying movement of it, but it's a congressional part of it.
Caucus or something?
Yes, where Yael and certain members have gone already to have met with Virginia Fox and the congressional committee about what's going on the college campuses.
Yeah.
We're all involved with that too. So if a physician is listening now and you want to join the American Jewish Medical Association, you can, and you don't have to be Jewish because we also have friends of the AJMA. And so it's a wonderful new organization. It is a baby. It's crawling now.
But it's critical.
Yeah, it's a critical thing. And we need support. We need people to realize how much of a problem it is. Why would you ever want to go to a doctor that won't treat you because of who you are?
Right.
And that exists.
That's
That
crazy.
exists in New York City as much as it exists in the middle of nowhere.
Like, I won't be treated by you because you're Jewish. Get me
Right.
a non-Jewish doctor.
Right.
That happens.
It happens. It hasn't happened to me, but it happens. And there's subtle incidents of anti-Semitism that exist a lot day to day in medicine, unfortunately.
Well, let me help you get that thing off the ground. I want to be part of this.
Wonderful.
I'll be the never she patient sidekick.
Love it. Please join us. We need everyone to understand the problem and then help address it. Yes.
The American Jewish Medical Association. Again, extra points. Put that link in the description. But let's do a show. I'm promising my listeners we'll do a show highlighting this incredible organization.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you for starting your 19th nonprofit for my people.
Oh, thank you.
There's one girl I do want to talk about because we share a common thread, which is Christina Merrill.
Oh, yes.
They changed the name. It's now the Bone Marrow and Cancer
Foundation. Yes.
Because she was on the show, I forget recently, but I went to this gala sorry I missed you at the gala. But they have an app called Cancer Buddy.
Yes.
And you were asking me before the show. Yes, I invented the first cancer app in the world.
And sorry to interrupt, but I told Christina about you, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I know you," and so because I thought it was the same thing, I really did at first.
No, in 2013, before apps were a thing,
Right.
We're like talking like iPhone 6. I have no idea what the hell was going on back then. Kenny Kane, my co-founder of Super Cancer, and I hatched up this crazy idea to build something which there was no Tinder back then, but I can use the euphemism Tinder for cancer.
Sure. Yeah.
Never to be a dating app.
Right.
But I took a look at all the buddy companies, all the buddy charities that did the matching. Wow. Wouldn't it be interesting if there was a version of this on your phone ahead of your time?
You're such a genius.
So we called it Instapeer, because I wanted to build a white label in case it failed to not tarnish Stupid Cancer's reputation. True story. So if it succeeded, we would unwhite label it, make it the Stupid Cancer app. So Instapeer, back then, you couldn't do this. You had to hire companies. It cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We were able to get a grant to get it started. But it's like, back then, apps were like owning a yacht. It's a hole in the ocean you can only throw money into and lose forever.
Now ChatGPT can make you an app.
Yes, they can.
Right,
like here
right.
we are, like 15 years later, and
Right.
you snap your fingers and it does whatever you want.
Right.
But Instapeer launched in 2014, OMG 2014 in Las Vegas
Wow.
as the first cancer buddy app. And it did so well, it broke in a day.
Because
We had
so many users.
Thousands of people signed up.
wow.
It broke.
Wow.
It broke. So we had to keep finding money to keep fixing it. And
How unbelievable is the unmet need there?
Yeah.
Right.
So later on came other apps, and now there's a sea of apps. So when Cancer Buddy came out, I was like, oh, this is so reminiscent of what we hoped would have happened 10 years ago. And we'll put a link to Cancer Buddy in the show notes as well. But we have that shared, another shared thing.
Yeah,
that
we do.
We do.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bashert, can I tell you a little bit about the Polji Foundation, because it's very much in the news right now?
Okay, go ahead.
So
How do you spell that?
POLG Foundation.
So like, is it an acronym?
It stands for polymerase gamma, which is a gene.
Okay.
And it's a gene in the mitochondria. The mitochondria, I don't know if you remember this from
The powerhouse
science.
of the cell.
That's right.
Yeah. My kids took bio this year, so I know
good.
that
You
now.
know.
Yeah.
So sometimes people can inherit a faulty mitochondrial gene and their batteries slowly die and never wake up again. And this happened to Prince Frederick of Luxembourg. And you may be like, how do I know this? And how did I get connected to...
And what the hell's Luxembourg?
Right? But
This tiny country wedged between things, yeah.
Okay, So you mentioned Bashert, so I have to tell you, because this is a Bashert foundation.
Wait, for the non-Jews in the crowd,
Okay.
describe Bashert.
Bashert means destiny in Yiddish, I think, and it means meant to be. I use it. You'll understand why I'm using it in this context. So, I had a patient who unfortunately passed away from colon cancer, and he was in his 50s, and he was an artist, and he was Italian, and they decided to have a celebration of life for him. So, you remember Via, the shared ride? It would pick people up along the way.
Was that like before Uber?
It was before Uber Share.
Okay.
Right. So I got in the Via and I'm going downtown and they pick up a couple and no one talks to each other. Everyone's on their phone and da-da-da. I said, we're going to whatever Grand Street. And that's when they said, do you know Luca? And I said, yes, I'm going to his service. Fast forward, the couple in the car her name is Dr. Jennifer Adams. This is going to be amazing when you hear this. She is a wonderful, amazing internist at NYU, and she is head of the Department of Empathy at NYU.
I'm glad one exists.
I had no idea one exists. Okay. So fast forward, we exchange information. Dr. Jennifer Adams, I look at her Facebook profile, and her Facebook profile says that her name is Jennifer Goldsmith Adams. My identical twin sister is Jennifer Ocean Goldsmith.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, that's
It's close.
weird. They both are Jennifer Goldsmiths.
Yes.
Okay, weird, right? Okay. Anyway, fast forward, the pandemic happens. I was doing research on a COVID compound that affects the mitochondria. And I knew we were trying to cure COVID, but this was definitely something mitochondrial. So one night, I was on a Facebook group that's called the Physician Moms Group that has 75,000 physician mother members. And during the pandemic, it was a way that people could find out about their relative wherever they were. Like, my mom's hospitalized in Milwaukee. Any doctors in Milwaukee can check on my mom for me because I can't get in there because it's COVID and da-da-da. So a physician, made a post about her son, her young son who has mitochondrial disease, and can anyone help? And I didn't want to tell 75,000 people what I was doing my research on. So I just said, I am working on a compound that affects the mitochondria. Send me a message. Maybe I can help you. I never heard from that doctor. But Dr. Jennifer Adams saw the post and messaged me. And she said, my dear friend's son, Frederick, has mitochondrial disease. And it's called POLG, mitochondrial disease. And I said, Jen, I'm an oncologist. I don't really know anything about mitochondrial disease. I'm a really good connector, so I'll connect you with whoever you need to know. And she said, no. I want to talk to you about this. And I said, okay, why? And she said, because you're starting nonprofits and they want to start a nonprofit. And I said, okay, I'll help them. At the end of the call, she says, I just have to tell you one thing. They're the loveliest people you'll ever meet. They're so kind. They're so sweet. Frederick is awesome, but they are the royal family of Luxembourg. And I was like, what? I'm picturing like Lady Di and. I said, what do you mean? And she said, oh, it's a name thing. It's nothing. They're normal people. Okay. I ended up having a Zoom with them with Jennifer and to help them start. And I learned about Frederick and the illness. And Frederick, most kids get this illness when they're infants or young children. He was 14 when this happened, and he slowly got weak. He wasn't able to walk. He wasn't able to keep his eyes open. His eyes were drooping. He wasn't able to digest his food. It was one bad thing after another. Neurologic, ophthalmologic, all these problems that can happen. Seizures can happen. I don't think he had seizures, but it's an awful, awful fatal disease, and there's no cure. And actually, Frederick wanted to form the POLG Foundation to find a cure for the disease. And he had the disease until March 1st of 2025. He just passed away. And he did the most selfless thing. He actually donated his blood so that they can make models of his disease and do research. So Frederick wanted to find a cure. He knew that the cure would not help him. And so now we have formed the Pol-G Foundation, whose goal is to cure Pol-G mitochondrial disease. And it's taken off. They've raised $6.2 million as the seed money for the foundation because Prince Robert's family, they have a winery, and a very, very famous winery called Haute Brion. And he has a wine cellar in Burgundy. Robert decided to put his personal wine cellar up for auction at Sotheby's to raise the seed money for the foundation. And in March of 2021, we had this auction at Sotheby's and raised $6.2 million for research for this foundation.
Amazing.
So that is the most Bashert story that I've told in a long time.
Thank you, Grand Street.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a break and come back, and I want to go down the time machine nostalgia rabbit hole with you about the origins of the young adult cancer movement.
Can't wait.
All right, we'll be right back.
Are you feeling stuck in your career or lacking employment at the moment? Experiencing symptoms of job dissatisfaction? You might be suffering from a common condition known as career stagnation. But don't worry, there's a solution. Monster.com. Monster.com offers a comprehensive suite of career-boosting tools designed just for you. Our free resume review and AI interview prep tool will help you stand out from the crowd. Need more guidance? Dive into our career advice articles for expert tips and insights. And don't forget to check out our salary tools to ensure you're getting paid what you're worth. Side effects may include a new job, increased confidence, and a brighter future. Consult Monster.com today and take the first step towards your new career. Ready for your next job opportunity? Visit Monster.com now.
Question for you is, how do you unwind? And I asked the question specifically because, yes, oncology, not a contest in terms of what specialty you're doing, but the burnout rates are tough and you watch people die, and it's like, how do you stay awake at 3 a.m? Like, what has been any level of like secret sauce for you across the years in your career that help you find some peace for yourself while you're helping to save lives and losing lives at the same time? And don't say alcohol. Although I will accept that.
I don't know. I feel like it's in my genes that I just know how to cope with it. I really do. I definitely unwind. I exercise. I travel with my family. I shop a lot. Shopping is a hope activity.
Yes.
Don't you know that? Taking pictures, photography is a hope activity. Because my husband and son, they say I drive them crazy because I take pictures nonstop on vacations. But I want to have those moments perfectly cemented and pictured forever. And that gives me hope that, I don't know, it just helps me with everything. So for me, my hope activities are shopping and photography. So I tell people who are worried about burnout and everything, find what gives you hope and to help you deal with all this stuff.
I asked the question because we actually care about that now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like we didn't care about it 20 years ago, but it was just like we just kind of, we're doing our thing and allowing it to happen. And it's gotten exponentially worse over time. But that brings me back to 20 years ago in the early 2000s.
Right.
We were like just starting this uphill battle to remember that, oh, not everyone that gets cancer is over 65 years old.
Right.
and all this amazing data came out. I got kind of sucked down this rabbit hole, as people know, into the Livestrong universe where we first mishbached. And this very concept of like Gen X, us, our census checkbox. You know, you ever like scrolling and the year scrolling keeps getting longer and longer. Where's 74? God, I keep going back. It's farther away.
Right. I'm 72.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. And what it was like to just have to build from scratch.
Yeah.
That I remember meeting, we can give a shout out to Heidi Adams, who was one of my earliest friends and mentors in the time, where like the words young adult cancer didn't exist.
Right.
We had to put them together and say these need to be here in the first place to just define and justify that this should exist. And were you part of like the COG working group or the Alliance working group about all the data that young adults were dying more and like the substantiation for the entire cause?
Right. Well, I definitely was involved with young adult cancer through my experience with colorectal cancer and forming Michael's mission. And I remember Michael, who was 34 at the time and got advanced rectal cancer after having Crohn's disease, which can be a risk factor. He was in the chemo room and he was looking around and everyone was like old. And he said, I don't belong here. And I don't have anyone to talk to. And so that was the inspiration for us to form Michael's mission to bring young people together to support each other through education, through research, through events and stuff like that in the colorectal space, so that because young people had nowhere to go. Now, what's very interesting to me is now with the boom of young people getting cancer now, right?
Right. Time Magazine recently had a whole article about this. Yeah.
So I feel that a lot of this booming cancer is related to our diets.
Oh, clearly.
And what were we eating 50 years ago that there were fewer cases of...
I actually know the answer to that question.
What?
There's real data around this.
Yeah, tell me.
It is mostly processed foods.
Processed
and
food.
And the nitrates.
The nitrates,
but
yes.
also the evolution of seed oils into society. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
That we used to cook everything in lard and tallow.
Oh, yum.
Where soaps were made from lard and tallow.
It
was the most used byproduct of animal harvesting, that it became cosmetic and it became food. You could fry things in tallow. You could fry things in lard. And you're getting animal protein fat instead of like harvested flour or nut oils.
Right.
Canola, sunflower, safflower, palm kernel.
Right.
They started bringing that into agribusiness by using pesticides and forcing genetic mutations of things that shouldn't be oils.
Right.
In our digestive tract.
Right. And that's why it is so prevalent now in these young kids that are growing up eating this SHI, you know what?
You can say shit. Have you mentioned me?
I know, but I don't know. This is a podcast.
Did I say mentioned? My brain isn't working.
I don't know if I could. Okay, I can. Yeah.
We're eating shit.
They're eating this shit, and it's terrible.
But it's also that it's been almost like the wool over our eyes, because we don't know that seed oils are bad for us until we find out seed oils are bad for us.
Right.
Like when they switched from sugar, which was bad enough, to like corn syrup. Which is absolutely tragic.
Horrific.
And everything now has corn syrup in it. And the fact that we could say we have sugar instead of corn syrup shouldn't be progress to brag about on your packaging.
Right. And so much of this applies to not only getting cancer, but treating cancer, because all of these mutations affect our immune system, and now our immune system is effed up. I'm not going to say that online.
Oh, you could say that.
No, but our immune system are so messed up because of these foods that there's data for this too. That people who are on certain antibiotics or have certain diets, affect their T cells. And so when someone gets cancer, they need their T cells to fight cancer and to recognize cancer and fight it. And they don't have any because they're put to sleep by these awful chemicals. And so a lot of cancer therapy now is the immunotherapy space is waking up your T cells so that they can fight and recognize cancer again. And so much of this is related to the biome, our gut biome, where the bacteria live in our gut, and that is all influenced by what we put in our mouth.
So again, like this is like me doing Matt hearsay-ish stuff, but people can do their own research. I know Google can be people can do their own research. Google can be a pain in the ass or not, but there is substantial data that seed oils and nitrates and honestly switching from glass to plastic. Remember we had glass Pepsi and glass apple juice and glass milk in the 80s. Even the early 90s we had glass. Right. And now everything, and then we moved to BPA free, but that doesn't stop what do they call it? The free plastic shit in your blood. What's that stuff called?
I forget. I know what you mean.
Bad particles.
Yeah, the bad shit in your blood.
Yeah.
And
all of that.
And we used to have cloth diapers.
Yep.
And, all this stuff that was so much better.
Yeah. So I don't think the jury's even around anymore. It's long gone that this is what is causing this stuff.
Right.
And as much as you want to be angry and conspiratorial that this was done to help people get sick, to make money so they stay sick and not die, you could put all these things together if you want. Yeah, but that's a rabbit hole with the moon landing and flat Earth.
Right. Yeah. No, we don't go there. I don't like that.
No. Yeah. Let's keep that over there.
Right.
Snowman and aliens and the Yeti and Bigfoot.
Well, the good news here is that we now know that these things are happening, and there's a lot of research money being put towards it to come up with prevention strategies and also treatment strategies.
Well, help me unpack that, because the whole point of the young adult cancer universe and the movement that I helped start with you and our cronies was that there is no early detection for cancer under 40 because the screenings don't work, or the insurance won't cover it, or you're too young for this, which is, we had that euphemism back then.
Of course.
And most of them can't be screened. So how has that been compensated for 20 years later?
Well, there will be a screening blood test for cancer. There already is one now. It's looking at circulating tumor DNA, and there are companies that make this test. And the test is still in clinical trials. The Gallery test that's made by Grail is available at cost for patients, unfortunately. But hopefully, with the research that's ongoing in this space, that they will pick up, it tests for 40 different types of cancers, that they will pick up cancer earlier so that it will become a standard insurance-approved blood test that people can get at any age.
So blood tests are the future of preventative care.
100%.
So you could still keep eating your seed oils. No, please don't do that either.
Right, don't do that. Yeah. Do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly.
No, right. So yes, there will be a screening test, an early diagnostic test. It won't replace having to have a colonoscopy, because if that test is positive for a signal for colon cancer, then you have to look for it, or you have to get a scan. It's not going to replace the test that we are doing now.
Right.
But you will be able to get that blood test and then act on it if it shows something. So, yes.
I guess the question is, do people want to know?
That's a very interesting question that I have to have with my patients every single day, multiple times a day, because we are using this technology already in people who have cancer, because it's the earliest detection of cancer, right?
Right.
So let's say someone gets their colon cancer removed and they are stage 2, and the majority of stage 2 patients don't get chemotherapy. But now we have a test that can check for circulating tumor DNA in someone's blood. And it's pretty accurate.
I was going to ask, what is the accuracy?
Very, very accurate. Okay. The specificity and sensitivity, these big terms of how accurate it is, the numbers are high. That said, these tests are important because they can detect cancer long before a CEA will go up on a blood test.
What does CEA mean?
CEA is the blood test that we test for colon cancers. It stands for carcinoembryonic antigen.
Okay.
It's the tumor marker, if you will.
I have an acronym button that I press.
Oh, it's the tumor marker for colorectal cancers.
Okay.
So these liquid biopsies, they're called,
Okay.
will pick up cancer long before it's ever seen on a scan. So that's the conversation I have with patients. Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Because it may be positive, but we're not going to see anything on your scan, sometimes for a year, 2 years, 3 years. But what the data shows is that if those tests are positive, the recurrence rates are nearly 100%.
Okay.
So,
All right. So ending on an optimistic note.
okay, sorry.
No, but
But
seems
it's
very
important
optimistic.
information.
Try to not get cancer.
Yes.
That should be the name of the show.
Right.
Just
All right.
try to not get it.
Yeah.
Be good luck with that.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Eat well. Wear your sunscreen. Yeah. Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I'm trying to remember now what it's called with the plastics in your body. What's that term called? Microplastics. I have no idea. All right. Now it's time for the lightning round,
Okay.
which is my favorite part of the show.
Oh gosh.
So
okay.
I have prepared a series of Gen X questions for you.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. If you had one,
What's the prize?
you get to kiss Rob Lowe. I don't know.
That's a good Gen
Okay.
X one. Okay.
right. Question one.
Mm-hmm.
If you had one, what was your first AOL handle?
Oh wow. I did have one. Ocean at AOL.com.
Okay. Mine was Piano Man 529.
You've got mail.
Yes, exactly. Did you ever have a Hotmail account, and why do you regret it?
Oh, yes, I had a Hotmail account. Same one as my Gmail account now. Awful. Useless. Yeah, you know. Okay.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, okay.
Your face says it all.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite John Hughes movie, Femme Fatale? Molly Ringwald, Alice Sheedy, Mary Stuart Masterson, Jennifer Grey, or Kelly LeBrock?
Actress?
Pick one.
Molly Ringwald.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. And
16 Candles.
yeah.
Yes.
Actually, you could pick your favorite Molly Ringwald movie
Okay,
now.
okay.
Subspecialty.
Right. Was she in St. Elmo's Fire?
Now, that was Demi Moore.
Yeah, but there were other people in that.
Yeah. I
Okay.
all right. Now we're
Yeah.
going to play. Now the St. Elmo's theme is in my
Right.
head.
That's
Man
a good
in
one.
Motion. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And then I ask AI. We didn't get to the is AI our doom or death or our savior.
Oh.
But I asked AI. I fed it everything I could find about you,
Oh, my God.
which is scary.
This is scary.
And I asked it this question.
What did you ask?
If your life was a Netflix series, what 3 cult figures from the American pop culture zeitgeist of the 70s, 80s, or 90s would you be? And it came back with 3 people.
Oh, my God.
And the reason why it thinks you are these 3 people. You are Jane Fonda for your advocacy and resilience.
Oh, wow.
You are Carl Sagan
Oh, my God.
for your dedication to science and exploration. Wow. And you are Oprah Winfrey
Oh, my God.
for your commitment to education and empowerment and starting 11 nonprofits.
Oh, my God. That is so cool.
There you go. And you get a souvenir. You can keep the paper.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. What a question. You have such a brilliant mind. I love the way you think.
You can come back anytime with those words. I have so many ways to exit you from the show. You have so many credentials, but Dr. Allyson Ocean with a Y.
2 L's and a Y.
Yep, ALYSON. Professor of Clinical Medicine at Weill Cornell Medicine. And you're on the board of directors of 11 nonprofits, but pick 3 to mention. You said them before.
Well, we didn't mention Let's Win PC, which is a wonderful platform for patients with pancreatic cancer that provides action and hope. Every cancer should have a Let's Win platform like ours. And it is
Another link in the episode notes.
Yes, another link. We can talk about it another time.
And I
yes.
also realized we're both NASDAQ models, too. You were on NASDAQ and I was
right.
on the NASDAQ. So,
Yes, I've been up there a few times.
Yeah.
Very, very cool experience.
It's a cool box to tick.
Yes, it is.
Well, I love you. I adore you. I'm so glad that this worked out. And
Me
thank you for coming
too.
on the show.
Thank you. I wish you all the best. It was such a fun time being with you.
Bashert.
Bashert!
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.